Welcome to the Vault XL. Thank you for joining me. Hope y'all had a wonderful weekend. Look forward to a movie suggestion for the week after this live stream airs. This is a three-part live. We're going to talk about Bullhorn Betty and the hearing that took place last week. I had no idea there was a hearing. A little late. Got that information today from the YouTube queue. We're going to go over that information. We're also going to talk about a very heinous crime that took place in Georgia many years ago. A woman has been arrested for the murder of her friend. And then we're going to touch on the recent interviews released to the public pertaining to Madelaine Soto. Three-part live, everybody. Thank you for your time. You are now listening to the Vault XL. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BigAngie129 Cash App. Thank you.
The arrest tonight in a nearly 17-year-old cold case in Truth County. Deputies found the victim in early December of 2007. The partial remains in a burning black bag at the corner of Whitfield Institute Roads. Now, what we're learning is that DNA from those remains was sent to labs early last year, and by December, they were identified as Nicole Austin. Family members told police Austin moved to Atlanta from New York with a friend. Police said the friend, Angel Thompson, seen here on your screen, started taking Austin's identity and was collecting her SSI benefits, food stamps, and getting Section 8. They say she had been doing this for 8 years. They estimate the value of the fraud is about $200,000. Thompson was arrested last month and is charged with concealing Austin's death. Right now, the Truth County Sheriff's Office says it is still investigating to determine who killed Austin.
So who killed Nicole Austin? Did this lady, Angel Thompson, kill her? Many people think she did, considering she had assumed her identity, received benefits in the dead woman's name. The root is the source, everybody. A Georgia woman was arrested almost 20 years after her friend's dismembered body was discovered on the side of the road. Angel Marie Thompson is not considered a suspect in the death of her friend Nicole Austin, but she is being charged with concealing Austin's body as part of an identity theft scam that went on for nearly a decade. The case goes back to December 2007, when the partial remains of an unidentified woman's body were discovered inside a burning bag that was left on the side of a road in Hogansville, Georgia. The case went cold until 2023, when authorities identified woman's body. Sorry about that. Go back for a minute. It goes back to December 2007. Partial remains of an unidentified woman's body were discovered inside of a burning bag that was left on the side of the road, once again in Hogansville, Georgia. Case went cold until 2023, when authorities identified victim, 24-year-old Nicole Austin of New York City, through a DNA match, according to a September 3rd Facebook post from the Truth County Sheriff's Office. Police say Austin's family confirmed their last contact with her happened around Thanksgiving 2007 after she moved to Atlanta with Thompson. Although Thompson isn't considered a suspect in Austin's death, police allege she failed to report her friend missing and instead used her identity to gain access to her Social Security benefits, food stamp allotment, and Section 8 housing benefits. They add Thompson was wanted in New York for theft and identity fraud around the time she left the States. Now, that's very pivotal. The report goes on to say Thompson stopped stealing the benefits in 2015 when the Social Security Administration notified Austin that she would need to come into an office and reapply for her benefits. And that's something I was curious to how all this came to fruition. But by then, police said the total amount Thompson's shady scheme was valued at nearly $200,000. So what's pivotal in this case is the fact that the woman, the dead woman, was supposed to come in to the office to reapply, not do it online, not send in verification of anything by mail, email, because nowadays you can do a lot of things with the government online. Just about everything you have to do now is online. Apply for work online. Okay, so back then, 2015, they wanted her to come in. So she knew she couldn't go in that office to reapply for Social Security benefits because, one, she's not that person. Number two, she doesn't look like or favor the person. So that was going to be a problem. That was definitely going to be a problem. Here's something else pivotal. They add Thompson was wanted in New York for theft and identity fraud around the time she left the state. Bingo card. That shows a pattern. Because what I was asking myself, did she deliberately get this girl to move down here to the South to steal her identity? Well, after listening to this evidence, it would lead me to believe that yes, this was a deliberate move of two friends to Georgia, one not knowing that her friend is going to hurt her, to steal her identity to get food stamps, the check, HUD, so on and so forth. This is a diabolical case. So now we got to ask ourselves, whose identity and fraud did she steal up in New York? Okay. Who is the person's identity she stole up there? It says for theft and identity fraud around the time she left the state. So whose identity did she steal? How many people's identities did she steal? Did this friend know about that theft and fraud? See? What type of person was she? The one who's dead now. Did she do anything illegal? Did she commit any type of fraud? Did they move together to commit fraud down in Atlanta? But the dead girl had no idea she was going to be the next scorer? Don't know. It is easy to give advice about friendship, courtships. Choose your friends wisely. Choose your courtships wisely. But everything's about blind trust. Because everybody likes to give advice about friendship and dating and be careful this, because I say it all the time on this network. But on the flip side, what does it really mean? Because people think they know the people who they're around, whether you're doing wrong with them or you're doing right with them. At some point, you have to be alone with a human being. And that's where blind trust comes in. And you don't fully know people, especially if they have not exhibited any signs that they are cutthroats, if you get my drift. So I don't know what actually went on in New York, but something went on for her to have to leave New York, and we now know this. And sadly, she talked this young lady into going with her, her so-called friend, Nicole, and Nicole ends up becoming the victim, a dead victim, not just an identity fraud victim, but she becomes a dead victim, then an identity fraud victim. And this shows you this Angel Thompson is diabolical. She's not the friend you want. So does Angel have children? Boyfriend, married, what? Did she kill Nicole? What were the circumstances? I'm going to just go ahead and say it's the fraud. I got to be able to eat. I got to be able to live. I need some money. I'm on the run. That's why I'm wondering if the friend knew about the fraud back in New York. Hello, Gigi. Did the friend know about the fraud and they went and traveled all this way down here to the South? Then you got to ask, where did they stay when they first got here? Or did the girl, Nicole, apply for an apartment or something down here and ask this dodo bird to go with her? Hey, I'm getting ready to move to Atlanta. You want to come with me? See, we don't know the circumstances of how they got to Atlanta, what led them to Atlanta. Also, did Nicole have children? Now, many of you who are not familiar with HUD, if you get a voucher, after 1 year, you can take that voucher and live anywhere in the United States. So let's say you're living here in Tennessee, you're on a voucher. After your year's lease is up, you can take that voucher and take it anywhere in the United States, California, Oregon, Detroit, wherever. What made that lady come down here? What made Nicole come to Georgia? What made her ask this thing to go with her? Angel Thompson. And one article I read, she's been given a bond. Now, this article didn't mention that. But one article I read, she was given a bond. So I'd like to know what dodo bird judge would give this thing a bond knowing she likes to steal people's identities. And we already know she wouldn't even be doing her own thing if it wasn't for the Social Security sending the letter saying, hey, we need you to come in and show yourself to reapply for benefits. So then she had to go and work or hustle or do whatever she did to make money. Let me go over here to the Independent and see what they have to say, because I want to mention that bond situation, because this is baffling to me that a judge would allow her to have a bond. Okay, the Independent, we're going to read their article and see what they have to say. For nearly 2 decades, a smoldering trash bag containing human remains that was found dumped on the street in Atlanta has remained a mystery. The remains were partial, as the hands, feet, and head were missing, leaving investigators with more questions than answers, and the case quickly went cold. Wow, that's deep. Close look at the case and advancements in DNA technology finally led to a big breakthrough. 2023. Nicole Austin, 24-year-old from Manhattan, New York, left the Big Apple 2007 with her friend Angel Marie Thompson for a new life in Atlanta, Georgia. Her family said the last time they heard from her was Thanksgiving of that same year. Bizarre twist, 8 years after the body parts were found in 2007, Austin appears to be alive and well, according to the use of Social Security benefits, food stamps, and at one point, Section 8 housing. So how long did she get Section 8 housing in Nicole's name? When did she murder her? When they first got there, 2 months in, 3 months in? When did she murder the young lady? Turns out it wasn't Austin. Instead, it was her good friend Angel Marie Thompson, who she had begun her Atlanta adventure with years earlier. Authorities say she had been assuming Austin's identity and collecting her benefits from 2007 to 2015, totaling $200,000. August 24, Thompson was arrested, charged with concealing the death of Austin. Prosecutors alleged that Thompson, after the discovery of Austin's remains, began identifying herself as Austin, collecting Austin's Social Security benefits, food stamp allotment, acquiring Section 8 housing, all as Nicole Austin, according to a news release. And the one thing about the ID, she could have probably went and got an ID in her name. So long as a person has your birth certificate, your Social Security card, you can go right in somewhere and apply for a driver license or state ID. The only problem with Social Security is Social Security already has that person's ID on file. So you aren't going to be able to walk in with an ID of Nicole because you're not going to look like her. And actually, they're going to open the file and see, wait a minute, you don't look like the person in this older file. So that's why this ruse came down. So once again, the investigation continues because they have not determined, authorities, Troup County Sheriff, who actually killed Austin. So who killed her? So this is going on to tell you where they discovered the young lady at Whitfield Road and Stitcher Road. At the time, no identity was made of the Black woman's body. The remains were sent in 2023 to labs in Virginia and Houston for analysis as part of a renewed focus on cold cases. Those results were then sent to the GBI Crime Lab for comparison. On December 13, 2023, our office received word that a positive DNA match was made in the identity, that of Nicole Austin, whose last known residence, Manhattan, New York, and that she was 24 years of age at the time. Okay. Also goes on to talk about her last contact with family. It was 2007 at Thanksgiving. Investigator also say following Austin's death, Thompson began identifying herself as Austin and was collecting her benefits. August 19th, Angel Thompson arrested, charged with concealing Austin's death. At this time, we can't really say 100% if this person was the killer or not, Sergeant Stuart Smith said with the Troup County Sheriff's Office told ABC affiliate WSB. We don't believe the actual homicide took place in Troup County. We believe it took place somewhere else, and Austin's remains, was just discarded there on the side of the road. Thompson was released from county jail on a $15,000 bond. Independent.co.uk is that source. $10,000 bond. for concealing the death of a human being. I want you to think about that for just a second. So we have a woman who left New York for fraud, identity fraud, theft, moved to Atlanta with her friend, stole her identity, her benefits, and only stopped because she couldn't walk in that office and apply as her. Now we're in 24. She's been arrested after an investigation and ID of the body through lab work, December 2023. Help the queen understand how this is justice for her. And we get it. You got her on theft and fraud charges. Allegedly concealing the body because she's using this woman's ID to be her, so she has to know she's dead, missing, whatever. I'm going to use deduction. She's missing because of Angel Thompson, Miss Nicole. Her friend murdered her. She found a way out of her situation, not having to live on the run. I'm going to assume my friend's identity, and I'm going to be her, so I don't have to be looking over my shoulder, because you always have to use common sense when it comes to being on the run. You have got to be able to take care of yourself. You have got to be able to live. You got to be able to eat. You have to have somewhere to stay. So it's hard to live on the run if, one, you don't have any money, you don't have anywhere to stay. You still got to walk around and do allegedly half-assed normal things that other people do. You got to have a plan. Now, people go on the run every day for the craziest of crimes. Some of it's not even murder. It could just be a bunch of felonies, gun charges, whatever. But they don't want to face the music. But most people do go on the run for murder. That's just a common thing. This woman just went on the run for theft and fraud. But as I just said, she didn't want to face the music in New York. So her and this girl, Nicole, come down here to Georgia. Boom. Now this woman's dead. So now we got to ask ourselves, when did Nicole become unalive? That's the question. Is Angel Thompson her murderer? What were the circumstances to the murder? Was it just because she needed an identity? It was an easy way. She's got this friend. She's got access to her personal effects, her social security card, birth certificate, HUD papers, all this type of nonsense. And then too, I'm assuming the girl moved here on HUD. I'm assuming. Don't know if the friend worked or not. Don't know if she had children. Don't know any of this. She couldn't have had kids because we haven't heard anything about the kids. And I hadn't heard that the relatives said they ain't heard from the children. So obviously the girl was single and probably had the HUD because she was disabled. Don't know what her disability was, physical or mental. Lots of questions, no answers. But where I have a problem is this allowing this thing, Angel Thompson, to walk free on a cheap-ass bond. This is ridiculous. The woman went on the run to Georgia and more than likely killed her friend to take on her identity. You're going to give her a $10,000 bond? Say it again, Queen. You're going to give her a $10,000 bond when she ran out of state to avoid charges. And now a dead person, she's been assuming a dead person's identity, and you're going to give her a bond. This makes no sense to me. Prayers to Miss Austin's family and justice for Nicole. And now Angel will probably go underground and find somebody else's identity to steal. Are you all hearing this? Because the judge obviously is on dope. Yeah, Angel's going to find somebody else's ID to steal. Go look up some dead person and get their information. Yeah, I said that. And go underground again. You'll be looking for her. I want to know what the hell was this judge thinking to let a defrauder who's been state hopping for years, 17 years or so, 17 years, listen to that, 17 years. And everybody knows you have to be a crafty somebody to stay on the run. If you stay on the run, hell, 3 months, you're doing good. Undetected. 17 years. You put that on paper. And that's just for theft and fraud. That was not for somebody's murder. That's for fraud out of New York. So now you got to ask yourself, what all did she do in New York besides theft and fraud? because this goes to show you how diabolical this woman is. She's willing to kill her own friend to assume her identity. And naturally, there are many people who commit fraud, theft, but they're not murderers. The one thing we've learned about a murderer, they usually are a thief and a liar. Do the math. This is sad. This is why you have to be careful about the people, yes, that you hang around. Because you're thinking of your friend, they're cool. Oh, they got my back. We're thick as thieves. No, you're not. Sitting here running around, toting this demon with you all the way to Georgia, and little do you know she's plotting your murder. Because I got a feeling she deliberately went down to Georgia with this girl to get her knocked off. More than likely, the girl decided she wanted to move. Maybe she had friends, family down in Georgia. I don't know. Haven't heard anything else about that. But the point is, she got to Georgia some type of way, and she brought this heathen with her. And little did she know, rather, she was going to be off by her friend. And I won't doubt that heathen probably had been in her ear talking about, hey, let's go to Georgia. Hey, let's move. Hey, let's get away from here. Because she knew she was in trouble. It's very scary. I won't doubt she put a bug in that girl's ear and told her, come on, let's move. Let's go out of town. Let's start new. Let's find somewhere else to live. You my bestie, blah, blah, blah. Probably talked that girl into moving to kill her. Because she's already committed the crime in New York. So why would I think she's not the one that probably talked the girl into moving? Because you got to ask that question. What got them to Atlanta? What made them move? Because once again, you got to have money to move. It costs to move. And you're talking about East Coast. New York is not near Atlanta, Georgia. So you're talking about a long way to travel, set up camp in a new place where they don't know anybody. So you got to ask that question. Did they know anybody down in Atlanta? Friends with anybody? Family said the last time they talked to her was Thanksgiving 2007. Poof. Voila, she's gone. We don't hear anything. Nothing. That's scary as fuck. This is why I keep trying to tell people, you have got to stay in contact with people. Everybody lives different. Everybody don't have good friends, family members, brothers and sisters to be concerned. But Lord knows you need to be talking to someone. You need to tell people, one or two people that you think you can trust. Well, I don't have a lot of friends and family. If you don't hear from me, call my landlord, call the police, because anything can happen to you when you don't really have any friends and family, and there's nobody out here looking for you. This is why there are a lot of dead people who have not been found, because there's nobody out here to look for them. There's nobody to say, oh, I haven't talked to my brother, I haven't talked to my sister, haven't talked to my friend, haven't talked to my neighbor, haven't talked to my coworker. There are a lot of people who don't have a lot of family. So you don't ever talk to a lot of people, you're a loner. Let me tell you something. This is just the truth. The wrong person gets that information, you are ripe for the taking. Because they know nobody's going to come look for you. Nobody's banging on the door looking for you. Nobody's calling your phone. This is why everybody needs to talk to one person weekly to let them know what you're doing. And to say, you don't hear from me, call my landlord. Call the police. There's nothing wrong with a wellness check. Nothing wrong with that. And I get it. There's times people don't want to be bothered. They don't want to answer the phone. They don't want to answer the door. We're all entitled to privacy. But let me tell you something. This is not how you want to end up. It's a Nicole Austin story. Welcome to the phone. Exhale. Second story. Bullhorn Betty, Sebastian Rogers. What a hot mess. I'm a week behind on this information. Had no idea about it, but we're going to discuss it. And then we're going to talk about Madelaine Soto. And then I will probably refrain from talking about true crime stories. I've had about enough of divulging, because I'm sure a lot of people will probably say, well, I haven't heard you talk about this and you're not really touching on this. I've had careful consultation with someone today. And as they had said in their commentary to me earlier, and what I have said for the past year about, changing the channel name, when I changed the channel name and where I want to take this channel, I like talking about various topics. And just from what I've seen play out on YouTube here recently and over the past couple of years of me talking about certain cases pertaining to children, I've had just about all I can take. Talking about true crime, as I've said it 1,000 times, I'm not a true crime channel. I don't even want to be considered a true crime channel. I don't even want to be labeled in the vicinity of the other type of people who I've seen up here talking about true crime. I don't even want to be in that genre. I don't even want to be affiliated with the trash that's up here. So I want to try to make this my last commentary pertaining to any true crime story. Now, if there's an update on any case that I've covered, I will gladly post the latest information to my community page to give you the update on what is going on in that case. But I gotta check out because I've had just about all I can take dealing with the true crime stories. I'm burnt out. Fox Nashville is the source. This commentary is pertaining to Miss Bullhorn Betty, Sebastian Rogers case, and the Proudfoots and the Bower Sox. Yeah, I have other things I could talk about. And, I have other people who I'm going to be bringing on the network to give commentary, and they don't know anything about these cases, true crime, and this one person, I like their commentary. We have a good rapport with one another, and he's going to be coming on the network to bring an update pertaining to some crazy nonsense he's got going on in his life right now. So he can't give me input on Sebastian and these other cases. So I would like to, share other people's stories and things that other people are going through that don't have anything to do with missing children and homicide.
I'll set this matter for hearing. On October the 23rd.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now that takes care of the criminal matter. Now, as to the issues before the court, there is pending a Rule 60.02 motion filed by the defendant, Ms. Griffin, in these order of protection hearings as it relates to the order of protection on Terry Bowersox Sr., Maddie Bowersox, and Katie Lynn Proudfoot. The matter pending is still pending with Christopher Proudfoot.
Your Honor, our Rule 60 was intended to cover all of those orders of protection.
There's 4 of them that are listed there. If not, they're all listed on the sheet. The only issue is the matter regarding Christopher Proudfoot is still an ex parte order, as it's never had a hearing on that day. And so any motion to reconsider or set that aside would be premature because we've never had an issue. We've not had a hearing on that matter. It was set for last Thursday and it was continued on to this Thursday. So that Rule 60.02 motion to reconsider judgments as to Mr. Proudfoot is hereby denied because that is premature in its filing. And so Mr. Brazil appealed to an order as it relates to Christopher Proudfoot. I think his case is case number 3893, 2024 civil, because it's premature at this time. Also in front of me is the state's motion to clarify the intent of the order of protection. The order of protection speaks for itself. It's pretty plain in its language, but it covers what it doesn't cover. Mr. Brazil, you had, in full disclosure, I met with counsel for Ms. Griffin for the state of Tennessee and for the Bowersox and Ms. Proudfoot in chambers before coming out. The parties asked this court to set this matter to a hearing date separately and from today. in my consideration, I will grant this continuance, but it's only going to be for a short period of time because we have order of protections involved. These order of protections that are filed are in effect, Mr. As the court sees them, they're in effect currently except to Mr. Proudfoot's, which is an ex parte, and it remains in effect as an ex parte until we have a hearing on all of these matters at the same time.
Interesting.
Council will get the calendars out. Mr. Moore, you're going to represent, you and Mr. Kelsey are going to represent the Bowersox and the Proudfoots, or just one party?
Your Honor, I believe we can do both as it does seem to be the same.
You're going to represent all four parties then? There's four different orders of protection. There's one that's been granted for Terry Bowersox, Senior, Maddie Bowersox, Katie Proudfoot. The only one that has not been heard yet is Christopher A. Proudfoot, and that was set. And I'll set that for a hearing on the same day that we take all these up at the same time.
Yes, Your Honor, I believe it was our agreement with the Proudfoots. We represent Katie Proudfoot and Christopher Proudfoot. We can certainly talk to them about potentially representing the Bowersox if they need representation. That stands right now.
Okay. I just want to make sure that's clear for the record of who your clients are.
Your Honor.
I don't want to address you in matters regarding the Bowersox if you're not representing you.
All right. So, whatever the hell that means. Just a bunch of damn nonsense. Hold on one second. Let me go back. Let me play a little more of this nonsense. So let's read what an ex parte means. Some examples of ex parte orders are orders that prevent the other party from taking a child out of the country or state, prevent the other party from destroying property, prevent the other party from removing assets in a divorce proceeding. Jesus, goes on and on. On one side only or for one party, an ex parte communication occurs when a party to a case or someone involved with the party talks or writes to or otherwise communicates directly with the judge about the issues in the case, other parties' knowledge. It says an ex parte decision is one decided by a judge without requiring all of the parties to dispute to be present. Well, we learned that with this situation, Mr. Proudfoot ran in late, looking crazy with a mullet. I thought I was going to pass out. I thought, who the hell is this running into the court? This is some crazy nonsense. This case is weird. Hold on.
I will grant this continuance, but it's only going to be for a short period of time because we have order of protections involved. These order of protections that are filed are in effect, Mr. As the court sees them, they're in effect currently except to Mr. Proudfoot's, which is an ex parte, and it remains in effect as an ex parte until we have a hearing on all of these matters at the same time.
So his is in effect as well, Mr. Proudfoot's.
Council will get the calendars out.
Complaints.
Mr. Moore, you're going to represent, you and Mr. Kelsey are going to represent the Bowersox and the Proudfoots, or just one party?
Your Honor, I believe we can do both as it does seem to be the same.
You're going to represent all four parties then? There's four different orders of protection. There's one that's been granted for Terry Bowersox, Senior,
four orders.
Bowersox, Katie Proudfoot. The only one that has not been heard yet is Christopher A. Proudfoot, and that was set. And I'll set that for a hearing on the same day that we take all these up at the same time.
Yes, Your Honor, I believe it was our agreement with the Proudfoots. We represent Katie Proudfoot and Christopher Proudfoot. We can certainly talk to them about potentially representing the Bowersox if they need representation. That stands right now.
Okay. I just want to make sure that's clear for the record.
So basically, he's representing the Proudfoots, the guy that just spoke. Oh, God, what a mess.
Address you in matters regarding the Bowersox if you're not representing you.
Discover truly.
Sorry about that intermission. Well, weigh in. What do you think? Oh, hot butter mess. What I'd like to know is on the temporary order, did it say directly and indirectly she's not to have any contact with this family? Because I'm going to read you some information once this is done. Now Mr. Proudfoot comes in, hair thinning and a mullet. Oh my God, I could scream. He looks a hot butter mess.
Council, if you'll check the calendars for October the 10th.
October the 10th. He's conferring with the lawyer. He comes into court late. Of course, he has to be the shining star to come in late. Everybody else is in court.
I'm going to set it for the 10th. Mr. Moore, are you available that day?
Yes, Your Honor. All right.
I'm going to set this matter. I had orders of protection that morning set on my civil docket that morning anyhow. What I'll do is tentatively set this for 11 o'clock on October the 10th. And we'll address all the issues that are outstanding in this matter. Ms. Griffin, until in the order of protections as it relates to Mr. Bowersox, Ms. Bowersox, and Mrs. Proudfoot are in effect until the ex parte order is in effect as it relates to Mr. Proudfoot. The difference is the penalties if you violate those are different for one having been ordered and the one that is an ex parte. Those are the differences between those. Any other matters we need to take up? Council, state.
All right, Your Honor, we would simply ask that the copy of the statute we provided to the court be entered into the record.
I will, if you're going to file any, are you anticipating filing any other matters? Just associate that with what you're going to file. That way it's in the record. If you provide me back in chambers is not adequate.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Attached back in this file. So
Thank you.
Do that. And anything, Mr. Moore, if you in the file or anything, the state, I would ask that you all, if you have any motions that you're going to file, please have them filed by Monday, September 30th at noon. If you'll also include that in that order, Mr. Frizzell, for signature and make sure that all parties are signed. That'll be a work for.
Thank you, Your Honor. The date again in September for the motions to be filed.
September 30th, Monday, September 30th at 9 o'clock for the motions.
The motion September 30th.
I have a hearing beginning at 11, as close as possible, beginning at 11. It depends on how the morning goes with the order of protections that morning, how many I have and how many hearings we have on those.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Wow.
And we did see it, Your Honor.
And she has support in court, Miss Griffin. I see Tony. I see Seth sitting with her. She moved and sat down. She has some people she's sitting with. What a mess. And Mr. Proudfoot sitting up front row on the opposite side of court. Now Tony and Miss Betty leaving out with their entourage. Seth was in a suit. Somebody else supporting them. Some people supporting them. Wow. What a mess. Naturally, court had other people in court there to hear their problems and situations. Wasn't a private hearing. Just let's weigh in. This is a hot mess. How do you all feel about the protective order? I don't even know what to say. What is interesting is that as I was listening to a certain YouTuber tonight, talk about, true crime and talking about people that, yes, lives can be ruined when you bring allegations against a family, a person, that they're doing something, they're guilty of something, even if the people weren't directly involved in a crime, alleged crime, you're talking about them publicly on a platform such as YouTube, Facebook, wherever, and you start saying negative things about them. Those things can have an adverse effect. As I'm going to bring you a story a continued story with my friend, Mr. Allen, and the debacle that he has found himself in dealing with a very vindictive ex-baby mother, let's say bio donor. She's nobody's mother. She's a hag, in my opinion. And so you have to be careful what you say. So now you got to think about everything you say will be held against you in a court of law, literally. So why Betty Bullhorn? Why Miss Griffin? Why choose her? Was she stalking these people, following them around, putting their addresses on the internet? Is that what this is all about? Bauer Sox's, Proudfoot's? Or is it really about Seth and the child? Because a lot of people have intervened in this case simultaneously, alleging to help Seth Rogers. And some people believe this is about Seth. It's not even about what you think Miss Griffin has done to you. You're mad that she's been a voice for the child because she's in cahoots with Seth Rogers. So therefore, you're taking this personal. But then let's just say that's true. Then really you're showing the world that you're not concerned about your child. You're more concerned about revenge. I don't know what Bullhorn has done. I don't follow her. I'm not in her pocket. So I don't know what she's aired on her channel, what she's talked about. As I tell people, I don't have time to sit up and watch numerous channels. I don't want to. I love my free time because it's mine. So I don't sit up and watch everyone's network to see what they're saying, didn't say. They jumped out of a helicopter, drone. I don't have that kind of time. So I'm not here to defend her, not defend her. All I'm saying is, what is it really about? Because you all have shown that you don't even care about the kid. That's why we're here in the first place, talking about a missing kid. And some people do believe this is about Seth. This isn't about Betty. She's just the icing on the cake. Let's get a little more information in case you all are curious to what's going on down here in Tennessee, because I don't understand any of it. This was uploaded 6 days ago. WKRN News 2 is the source. Well, she has an attorney. She went and got an attorney. I guess she didn't have a choice. And then the fact she's got to travel up here to sit in court for this nonsense. Just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay. Missing Sumner County teens' parents were in court Tuesday, but the hearing did not offer any progress in the continued search for their son, Sebastian Rogers. Once again, everybody knows he disappeared in February. Courtroom was split into two sides. News 2 crew was inside the courtroom and observed the YouTuber and Sebastian's biological father, Seth Rogers, on one side. Meanwhile, the missing teen's mother and stepfather, Katie Proudfoot, and Chris Proudfoot, and step-grandparents were on the other side. In the original temporary order of protection, Terry Sr. Bauer Sox, Sebastian's step-grandparent, wrote that Andra Griffin, also known as Bullhorn Betty, goes online and incites others to create mayhem in their lives and our family. She encourages violence by posting pictures of our home and address online. Did she do those things in her content, loosely use that word, here on the network? His spouse, Maddie Bauer Sox, another Maddie, Jesus Christ, added in her order of protection that Griffin threatened to purchase a gun in Tennessee and bring that weapon to my home in order to get answers. Katie Proudfoot wrote in her temporary order of protection that her goal is to have Griffin stop encouraging others to stalk on her behalf and encourage others to spread false allegations, misinformation in regards to my missing son, Sebastian Rogers. Oh, now he's your son. Okay. All three orders of protection are active and ban Griffin from having any contact with them directly or indirectly. Court documents claim that the YouTuber violated the three separate orders of protection. So how does she violate exactly? Because last I heard, all this mess went down when Mr. Seth had a rally for the child in a totally different jurisdiction. Next thing I know, I hear she's arrested. So what did she do in that visit to Tennessee? How did that affect them? Help me understand, because I'm confused. Once again, three subpoenas claim that she violated the terms of the order in August by going on her YouTube live stream. Oh, and talking about the family. There we have it. She allegedly said in 2 separate live streams that she planned to sue the Proudfoots and Bauer Soxes. Seth said Griffin is only trying to help find his son. We have a detective that was apt about having somebody arrested that is using their voice and their platform to get my son's name out there. And they want to infringe upon her First Amendment rights, Seth explained. I am a deputy sheriff. That person is a deputy sheriff. The Constitution is what we are supposed to stand and back upon, not to trample upon it. It really upsets me that they are limiting one person's voice, yet that person's voice is helping find Sebastian. They are not. These are the words from Seth Rogers. She doesn't break down from pressure, he added. Seth said that he hopes her First Amendment rights are addressed in court. The brief hearing ended Tuesday with the judge saying the matters would be heard on Thursday, October 10th. And once again, you also heard in this hearing, September 30th, they'll have their motions or whatever. We are very happy with where the case is headed, said Tony Mathis, spokesperson for Seth Rogers. The great thing about America is that the burden of proof is on the petitioner, not the respondent. We know the facts. She did not ever step on private property. She did not ever follow or harass anybody. And those facts will come out in court, Mathis added. Seth told News 2 it was frustrating to sit in a courtroom while his son is still missing. Oh, it is extremely frustrating that I have to come here to support somebody, which I don't mind coming to support somebody that is supporting my goal of finding my son. But the fact that I have to come here because 4 people, want to put a restraining order against somebody who is just trying to find my son, and yet Sebastian is supposed to be her son as well. Well said. Exactly. We're going to touch on that. He added that he feels that there's a lack of communication and effort from law enforcement in the search for his son. Time is being wasted that could be looking for my son, Seth said. Sumner County is stating that they have one detective on the case, and it has been the same detective on the case since the very beginning. He doesn't work around the clock. He doesn't work on weekends. I do, though, because he is my son. One detective on the case isn't enough, Seth concluded. Sumner County, they are not doing what needs to be done. News 2 contacted the Sumner County Sheriff's Office for a statement. They replied, it's an active, ongoing investigation. Once again, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers is 15 years of age. Reported missing Monday, February 26th from the beach area in Hendersonville. And as we've learned, Monday, February 26th seems to be a hot day for children to be missing in the South. Yeah, I said that. Sebastian, 5 feet 5 inches tall, 120 pounds, dirty blonde hair. Seen Monday. He was last seen on Monday, February 26th near Stafford Court, wearing a black sweatshirt, black sweatpants, said the TBI, which I don't believe that. Tennessee Bureau of Investigation originally issued an endangered child alert for Sebastian morning of February 26th as multiple agencies took to the area to look for him. Based on additional investigative information during the search, TBI issued Amber Alert for Sebastian afternoon, February 27th. Amber Alert issued when there is reasonable belief by law enforcement that an abduction has occurred and the child is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death, per the DOJ. Multiple agencies, including the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Tennessee Highway Patrol, Nashville Fire Department, City of Hendersonville's first responders, Sumner County Sheriff's Office, and Shackle Island Volunteer Fire have assisted in the search for Sebastian. If you have seen Sebastian or have info about his whereabouts, call the Sumner County Sheriff's Office at 615-451-3838 or TBI 1-800-TBI-FINE. Channel 2 News is the source. What in the hell did I just read? Well, what Seth has said is obvious. Everybody has gotten distracted. As usual, with the he said and the she said. A whole body is missing. A whole child is missing. And everybody is so wrapped up in channels and chats and who said what and who did what and worried about where somebody lived and who took a trip to Alaska, Hawaii, New York, Ireland. You have gotten away from what is relevant, which is the child. This happens every true crime case where people talk about it on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. That's the problem. That's the problem. People start talking. People start running up to other people talking. Other people start putting their 2 cents in to what they heard, what they saw, talking about garage doors, open, closed beds, all this type of nonsense. That is why we are where we are today. Then people jump on and take it upon themselves to play PI, investigative reporter, running over to these people's homes, properties, taking pictures, riding by. That starts problems. Then you upload it to the wire, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Now you have a problem. And that's where we are today. That's where we are today. She has a right to voice her opinion. That is her First Amendment right. Man, put it to ink. But then it goes farther when you start talking and saying things that are possibly not true about a person. So now that's defamation of character. And then you're going on and on and on, no matter where you're spitting this opinion. That's a new problem. Directly and indirectly. So that means she's not allowed to talk about any of these people or the child, I guess, on her channel. So does the child count? Because it says my family. So that includes what, Sebastian as well? Well, my thing is, why she can talk about Sebastian all day, just don't say anything about you all. Was that in the protection order? Was it? She can't talk about us or Sebastian. I want to see what it actually says. What does it say? My thing is, what do you care? That's why I know this isn't about Sebastian, you see, because too many people have talked about these dodo birds up here on the wire and other venues. You take no initiative to talk about your child. You do no news interviews about your child. You don't go to radio stations to talk about your child. You don't go to schools talking about your missing child, but you're worrying about Bullhorn Betty. She's stalking you, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Now she's got to spend money for lawyers and traveling up here to appear in court every fucking other week for this nonsense. And I'm not here to root for her. I'm speaking logistically. This is ridiculous. You either like Seth, you don't. You either like the Proudfoots, you don't. So that's the point. You don't know the kid. I'm about to say dead kid, excuse me. You don't know the missing kid. So the other options are the parents. A lot has been said by the parents publicly that should not have been said. I think we already know this. But you can't go back. It's over with. It's water under the bridge. The issue is the child. This is why talking about true crime is gritty. Because everybody has their own opinion. Everybody thinks they know everything. Everybody thinks they know what happened. And everybody wants to let the world know what they think happened. And that's what's led us to where we are today pertaining to this case. It is ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. People jumping in the chat, talking crazy to the creator, telling the creator what he or she can't say. As I've told many of you, I built this. Nobody can tell me what I can and can't say, whether I'm a YouTuber or not, whether I'm in partnership with YouTube. I could just as easily go stand on a street corner and put up a sign and say what the fuck I want to say about whomever. As people love to say, I've got that right. But we should know also the flip side of that is there'll be ramifications for me saying what I'm saying, because that's just the way it is. There's always going to be somebody complaining. As we're going to talk about that with this Madelaine Soto nonsense, this YouTube shuffle and bickering and bitching back and forth about privacy and rights to information that these people have bought. I knew there was going to be trouble with that. YouTube is just a cesspool. But the problem is us. Us. We are the problem. Because these companies have given us a way to vent, to talk, to spew venom, to be liars, racist, naysayers. Yes. TikTok, X, Facebook, IG, Reddit, Patreon, whoever the hell else exists. They've given us access to free speech, nonsense, and us spewing it back. And that's the problem. See, it was one thing when somebody decided they would go spread gossip about you or repeat what they heard. Don't know if it's true or not. Then go call a newspaper and say, yeah, I heard Bob did this, blah, blah, blah. You see where I'm going? We're past that now. Public platform with a screen, and you just say any damn thing you want, do whatever you want, turn cartwheels while you're cussing somebody out, smoking a cigarette at the same time. That's where we're at. Foolishness. It's all foolishness. I've been reassessing everything about my own network since July, near the end of July. And I have told myself, all of this is daunting. It's like babysitting. Babysitting other creators, babysitting the chat. It's a babysitting job, and I'm not getting paid for it. Endless comments that don't make sense. Bitching and moaning and crying about what you said and didn't say. Oh, you should know he did this, and why are you blah, 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 blah. I support who I want to support. You don't tell me who I can support. That's the problem. Everybody's got something to say. And none of us know each other from a can of paint. That's what's so interesting about social media. You respond to something that you don't like. Oh, that's stupid, that's crazy, that's illogical, blah, 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 blah. Just bubbles underwater. But in the end, you don't know that person, they don't know you. And sometimes I do, I get a little heated. My comment sections. And sometimes I read something, I say, you know what, Queen, don't even respond. Don't respond to these stupid people talking. Because a lot of people just get on the internet because they really don't have a life. They don't have anything going for themselves. This is their life. Spamming, chats, articles, spewing out venom. And the thing they don't get is you are just like the people in the story. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. That comment, that also have YouTube channels, TikTok profiles, IG profiles, Facebook profiles. You are like the people you are talking about in the story. And that's a dangerous thing. Because what everybody needs to remember, the people that we are discussing, at one point, they did not make the news. Checkmate. So that means they are average, ordinary, random bloke walking around until something jumped off at their address. And then they became a news story. And now you're talking about them. But the gist of the story is they are no different than you, me, the neighbor, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. That's the point. Where is this case going? The fact they only have one detective. Why? For the obvious reasons. Small jurisdiction. This ain't New York. This ain't Chicago. That's why you only have one detective. Are they tired of dealing with Seth Rogers? That's why he doesn't have any contact with them. They're not calling him to tell him anything, talk to him. Or they just don't have anything to call and talk to him about. The fact that still he doesn't have any correspondence with the Proudfoots. It's ridiculous. They shared a child who is missing and there's no correspondence. That's why I said this isn't even about Sebastian. This nonsense with Betty Bullhorn. They are mad that she's in cahoots with him and she said or did whatever they think she said or did on her channel. That's what this is all about. It's not even about Sebastian. Because that's the point of the story, is it not? It has never been about Sebastian. That's why we're here. That's why we're listening to all this garbage. Because it was never about Sebastian Rogers. And even now with him missing, half of a year has gone by, his parents show that they do not give two fucks about him. Bio donor, female, and step-parent. And yet, all they want to do is throw anybody under the bus they think is trying to help. My thing is, a lot of people have talked about Sebastian, who I think are probably some decent people out here. So I don't want to put it all off on she's the main pipeline for talking about Sebastian Rogers. I want to make that clear. There are other decent people who have, I think, care about the child, help in the community, and possibly other parts of the United States. I think this is personal. This mess with Miss Griffin, Seth, and the Proudfoots and the Bower Soxes. That's what I think. But like I said, I don't watch her network to see what she's posted, what she has said that they feel is offensive or threatening. But my thing is, she ain't on your property. She ain't at your house. She ain't riding by. She ain't hiding in the bushes. Your main problem is that she's talking about you on the channel. That's what you're upset about. And that she's rallying with Seth Rogers. So in my opinion, that seems personal. That don't have anything to do with Sebastian. That don't have anything to do with allegedly threatening your persons or threatening your property. You just don't like her because she's fucking with Seth, fucking around with him, rallying with him. And there have been many other people who have supported Seth Rogers that you ain't took to court for their opinions. Because really this is what this is about, is it not? Because if you don't have proof of her stalking you, then it lies on people speaking publicly about you all in a negative manner. And you can say all day you don't like somebody. The problem is if you're spewing a threat and or spreading information that's not factual. Because it's one thing to say, I know they hurt the boy, versus I think they hurt the boy. You see where I'm going? That's the difference. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you. We will be praying for you, dear. Hope you're well. Once again, WKRN News 2 is the source. Third subject of the hour. Oh, Lord. Madelaine Soto. Well, as I suspected, there was going to be a rift of all this information coming out that these YouTubers were paying for. Now there's a little mudslinging being thrown of who paid for what, who's airing the business and claiming it's their content. In the end, it's content that belongs to the state. Let's clarify that. Any information in an investigation, be it video, audio, pictures, that belongs to the state. The state has allowed clerk's office, whomever, let's say the clerk's office, has allowed you all access to it, and they're charging you for it, which to me is a slippery slope. Because the first time I'd heard of somebody doing this was a certain YouTuber who got slammed really bad, which they should have slammed her because she was just fucking wrong, showing, pictures of a dead kid, autopsy pictures and stuff. Who would do that? That's just wrong. So that's when I had heard of a YouTuber buying information, and I thought, who does this? Who buys information from the clerk's office about crime scenes? I had never heard of this in my life. 53 years of living, I had never heard of it 50-something years ago. A few years ago when I heard a YouTuber doing it, and I was like, well, how did she get the information? So now I see the clerk will allow people to access information for a finder's fee. So you see, everything's about the hustle. So this is why I keep saying everything is a double-edged sword. The same people that want you to do right, act right, obey the law, are the same people selling personal information from a crime. I want you to think about that, because that's exactly what's transpiring right now on YouTube with these YouTubers putting out this information of audio, video, and police investigations of the Sterns, Jen Soto, roommates, whomever. It's something macabre about that. It's just macabre. Because usually we only get this when the state decides they want to put the information out and when it goes to trial. Pictures are shown to the jury, tapes, interviews, so on and so forth. You rarely get a glimpse early on. You get the affidavit, of course, what they had in the affidavit, police reports. They give you a little bit of this, a little bit of redaction. But you're not getting the bang of everything all at once. Well, you have it now, because the clerk is allowing people to buy the information. And I'm going to put that on the poll as well. Do you think that's right? Do you think this information should be sold to the highest bidder for content? Because now Stephen Stern's entities have a problem with privacy. They don't want this information out, which we already know it's going to come out anyway. He don't want it out now. Naturally, he don't want it out now as not to prejudice any potential juror if he indeed wants to take this to trial. And I doubt that there'll be a plea because the crimes he has committed against the said child warrant the death penalty. This is a slippery slope. So let's go into the belly of the beast. Interviews with Angelica. I've discussed that the other day. Natalie. Natalie talks really hard in her interviews. But what's interesting to me is when you listen to her speak about what we don't allow, what we stand for, my family, my friends. She was friends with Jen's sister. Don't know if they're still friends. Are you all still friends? I'm curious. All this slick talk, street talk, but yet you had no idea that the little girl was being molested because you're coming and going. I found that interesting. We don't stand for that. I've dealt with this in my past. So who molested her? Because she talked about that also. Redacted. Pausing. So who essayed her? The fact that she has a child near this child's age sleeping in her room. So where was he sleeping? In your bed as well? Don't y'all see all this is strange? But who am I? I'm just a 53-year-old woman who don't know a damn thing. You got a woman downstairs sleeping with a child and a boyfriend on and off. And then upstairs, we got a woman sleeping with also a 12, 13-year-old male in her bed. I'll just let that sit right there. But everybody's vigilant about SA. Don't you find it strange? She's saying the same thing this dodo bird is saying in a roundabout way. Oh, I'm watching everything. I don't want my kid going in here. I don't want to spend the night. Oh, I don't want certain people around my kids. But the SAer was right there in the house with all your children. I said that before in my last live stream. You're worried about your son. Well, SA was right across the hall from you. Checkmate. And who's to say he wasn't a dual offender? We don't know if he wasn't. I find that baffling. But the flip side is you don't know people. Don't want to share a bathroom. Why? Why not? So, Natalie, did you feel the same way? You didn't want to share a bathroom? Why not? Once again, as I said, stepfather owns the townhouse, but Jen's the one orchestrating everything in the townhouse. She's the go-to girl. She's the liaison. This was nothing but a $2 B&B, Airbnb / motel hotel. Numbers on doors, people coming in and out, grown kids sleeping in beds with their parents and boyfriends and shit. It's weird, but everybody's vigilant about SA. But yet the SAers in the house walking around in full body clothes. I want you to think about that. She talks about the relationship between how she met her through the sister, blah, blah, blah. The disposition of Jen, how she acted thereafter, crying, upset. She seemed upset. But once again, you don't know her. We also learned in the commentary, somebody called the detectives directly and gave Natalie's name as somebody that has information to the SA. Now, this is where the slope is real slippery. Why would somebody mention your name, Natalie? That you would have information. So is it the sister? Jen's sister? Because you claim that, well, I did tell her, officer, detective. I did tell the sister not to get into business, but I did tell her about the little girl going in this room. Didn't see it often, but blah, blah, blah. So is the sister the one that told the detectives, hey, you need to go talk to Natalie. She lives there and this is what she told me. Or are we talking about somebody else Natalie has told the business to Because we as people do that, women, we talk to different people about different things. We might tell Susie, Mary, we might tell the same version of John or Jack. Hey, let me tell you this. Let me tell you something I've been noticing over here that's real, real strange. So how many people did she actually tell about the girl going in the room playing Atari, blah, blah, blah? Jen's response, naturally, no big deal, I trust him. They also talk about the weekend of, nothing peculiar seen, notice. The night before, when she got there, didn't get there. Same day, next day, leaving out 7:40 something in the morning. The relationship between the mother and the daughter, her relationship with the daughter, she talked to her. The daughter was mostly on the girl was mostly on the computer. We also heard that same information from Angelica. So we now know that's probably confirmed. The child spent a lot of time on the computer. What was she looking up on the computer? Never noticed anything hanky-panky between Stephen Stearns and the girl child. We also hear that he slept on the couch. That's something we've never heard. But we also know he was in that makeshift bedroom because there are photos to attest, to show that he was in that room violating a girl child. So we also now know he slept on the couch, and he also has been in that bedroom with a said girl. So now you have to use deduction of this child being essayed for so many years. She was essayed in different rooms. I'll let that sit right there. Room number 4, room number 1, and also her own bedroom. We also hear that Jen she can't sleep alone, which I was glad to hear that. Because that puts a new spin on things that you don't still have proof of. Some believe she could be involved in a crime or murder. Some believe she could be involved in a SA. Nothing found on her devices, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But that don't mean she was not a willing participant in something nefarious with her child and Stephen Stearns. Because now we know she didn't like to sleep alone. So anything that's been said about Madelaine Soto by Jen, you don't have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to take it with a grain of salt because you don't really know what's the truth. And I do believe she's lied in a cover-up. So what have I said pertaining to lying? If you lie about one thing, you'll lie about another. Checkmate. So now we have your friend saying she don't like to sleep alone. So is it because of past trauma with her being assaulted by some guy she went on a date with? Something from her childhood? What? So all this time we're sitting here hearing all this stuff about ADHD. She's forgetful. She's this. She's that. Madelaine. We now learn you're the one that didn't want to sleep alone in your bed. So we got you sleeping in your bed with your daughter. How long is that going to go on? Whether Stephen Stearns was around or not. Checkmate. Then we get Stephen Stearns in the picture. He's sleeping with this girl who's now a teenager, which isn't right. He's going from room to room with a little girl, which isn't right. You aided this nonsense. So whether you strangled the child, ordered a hit, planned it, helped, doesn't matter. It depends on your perception. And possibly this is the reason why there's been no arrest. They need her to testify. But my thing is, testify to what? She's going to do exactly what she's done in her interviews. I don't know nothing. I didn't see nothing. I trusted him. That's why I sent my daughter. That's all you're going to get in testimony. So you're going to let her get a free pass to walk the earth when she aided her child, handed her child on a silver platter to a monster. She still should be charged with gross child neglect, child endangerment. Whether you can prove she killed the child or not, still separate charges. Just like you got him on separate charges, it would be the same for Jen Soto. I can't prove you killed the kid. But I can prove you've lied in your interviews, and I can prove you aided this man to assault your child. Checkmate. That's proven out of her own mouth. Now you got a roommate saying, oh, she likes to sleep. She can't sleep alone. So that shows a pattern of how we got to this mess in the first place. We have a needy, lonely mother who needs comfort from a kid. But then the flip side is she couldn't wait to get rid of the kid. Oh, you turned 18, I want you out of here. So what? You going to let her sleep with you until she's 18 and then on her 18th birthday kick her out? Help me understand. I'm confused. I find it interesting the roommate didn't go to the birthday party. She said she wasn't invited. It was a close-knit event. But yet you're best friends with Jen's sister. Help me understand. You talk about you all raising your children together. Your children are similar in age. He knows her, blah, blah, blah. But obviously you weren't that close to Jennifer. You weren't that close to her. This was just a place for you to stay. We also learned that you're not staying there anymore. You moved out. I couldn't do it. Of course you couldn't. Only food would have stayed there. And I find that interesting. You got a decent job, don't know what you're making an hour. Why were you living in this house? And then you also had a child that stayed with you and then also went to your parents' house periodically, however that worked. See, all of this is just too much to digest. All these random people staying in this white box. Two got fucking kids that are almost grown, but they don't think to go find a place to house their child where the child can have a separate bedroom. I have a problem with that. And I know that all walks of life live in Florida, just like all walks of life live here in Tennessee. And the one thing we've learned about dealing with DHS, the state, they want your children to have their own bedrooms when they get a certain age, especially when you're dealing with opposite sexes. So if you have children that are opposite sex, when they get to a certain age, each state has a criteria of what age these children should have their own bedrooms. Because eventually the children have to be naked and they have got to be able to put on undergarments and their clothes. Common sense. And you don't want your children looking at each other naked as they start to get older. And children are curious. They'll touch each other's bodies because they don't know any better. Okay? This is how these problems start. Curiosity. Even if there is no essay involved. So I'm trying to figure out, downstairs, a 12-year-old sleeping with a grown woman. Upstairs is a kid, boy child sleeping with that grown woman. You all don't see that this is odd. But yet everybody's adamant about keeping the perpetrator away from their child. But yet the perpetrator was there the whole damn time. Help Queen understand. Because you see, you can claim the enemy. It's in the scripture. Speak it and it shall be so. So if I walk around thinking about my child being essayed, 9 times out of 10, an essayer is going to be in my peripheral. Did you hear that? Say it again, Queen, because somebody didn't hear you. You talk about it all the time in your head or out loud on your tongue, then an essayer will appear. So what's that old saying? Seek and ye shall find. That's what you're doing when you talk about it. If we're to believe Jen was always worrying about a perpetrator. Woody Allen syndrome. That didn't make no sense. Who's sitting around wondering about their child running off with their boyfriend or husband? Never heard of such. Step parent. Oh, that's my worst fear. That's your worst fear? Worrying about your child running off with your man? I never heard of such. So that led me to believe that perhaps this woman knows more about the crime between her child and him. Because it's too convenient to even throw that out there. And that could be a ruse. She threw that out there to spin a narrative with the detective. See, everything is meticulous with people who are fraudulent. Always remember that. Because everybody's trying to dissect that comment, the Woody Allen comment. For all we know, she threw that out there to add to what came out about Stephen Stearns and her daughter. Well, everybody knows now, so let me throw this this Mr. Allen comment out there. Oh, well, I've always been worried about that anyway. Don't you think that's convenient? I always tell people to flip the comment. Flip the comment. Comment can be used as a ruse. Well, they already know about the essay, so let me go on and say, well, I've always been concerned my daughter would run off with my man or my man would run off with my daughter. Or you're basically telling us a story. You already knew that they were messing around. You are party to it. You agreed to it. You gave your daughter. You knew what they were doing, and you didn't have a problem. Which is it? So you can weigh it a multitude of ways. Never thought he would do this. But after gathering the information, yeah, she thinks he unalived Madelaine Soto. She's also asked about Jennifer. Do you think she would do anything? Oh, no, she would never. But see, you can't really say that either. Because you willingly saw a child going in a room playing games or whatever with a grown man. Door cracked, whatever. She's kept her door cracked. The daughter had a partition. You really couldn't see what was going on in there. You weren't trying to make it your business. That's understandable what she was doing. She liked clothes, liked to dress up. She's similar to you, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, you had no idea she was being assaulted. But what's the gist of the story is that you've seen the child going in that room with him. You also knew that the mother kept her door cracked because of a cat. And you also know that the little girl had a partitioned bedroom. And now you know the truth, that there are images on this man's phone assaulting the child and also other images on a hard drive. And now I need to ask the ultimate question. Did she know that the other roommate had been filmed by Sebastian Rogers? Checkmate. And has anybody discussed this with Jennifer? Did Angelica discuss it? Hey, I know what he was doing. Did you know? And now, Natalie, have you discussed it with her? She talks about supporting her, trying to be there for her. Hard thing to, know what to say, blah, 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 naturally. But has she talked to her recently? Has she talked to Angelica recently? Where is she staying now with her son? Where is Angelica staying? What is the father going to do with the townhouse? Thousands of questions. Because I asked that question the other day in my live. Are these ladies still living in the townhouse? And Papa is probably really disgusted because, one, he can't get that money out of everybody. Two, who's going to want to rent from him now knowing a child was essayed in that townhouse and unalived there? Checkmate. Nobody. But a desperate person will for a low amount of money. But he has to pay a mortgage on the place, he's going to lose. He's got to get that money. He's got to recoup that money because 9 times out of 10, he has to pay, taxes or a mortgage on the said place. All of the above. Can't lowball it. And you can go in there and scrub it down, paint it. Still doesn't take away that a person died there. Small child. Most people will probably be afraid of hearing things. Sitting there visualizing the crime. Who wants that in their head? And actually living in the space? Nobody. What a story. What a story. And feel free to chime in on anything that I may have skimmed over pertaining to Natalie's interview, because I'm not here to hold long. My main point is that all the talk about SA, her journey with whoever assaulted her as a child, trying to keep her boy child safe, allegedly Jen worried about her child running off with a SAer. All along the SAer was there. That's my point. Another child was living in his house. And as I said before in my commentary, what was the relationship between all women amongst each other and also Miss Soto and also Stephen Stearns? Did he ever try to come on to the women? Nobody's asked that question, and I haven't heard that on anybody's content. Did he ever try to flirt with any of the other women? Did he ever have any type of sexual relationship with any of the women? Any other inappropriate touching? He's put a camera on the one woman's door. Old habits die hard. Naturally, I won't doubt that he's touched other children. Somebody said in their commentary the other night, well, I don't think that Stephen Stearns has abused another child. You don't know that. You don't wake up at 37 taking pictures of a child and videotaping the child and putting cameras on the doors if you haven't done something wrong before. So you can say Maddie was a trial run. Well, 7, 8 years of child molestation to me is not a trial run. But we also understand a sadist has to have a start, shall I say. So was Maddie his start and finale? Was she the first child he has assaulted as an adult? Are there other children out there that we don't know about that he has sexually assaulted? Filmed, don't know. And as they have said about the content on his phone, no way of verifying the images, who they are, and that's scary. Also, are there images floating around on the dark web pertaining to Madelaine? I won't doubt that there are. Where was his money coming from? Where was her money coming from? And that's something else I thought about too, listening to someone else's content. She drew a disability check. So she's not getting the full throttle of a check, amount of a check like somebody else who may have worked and then became disabled, because she hasn't worked enough and put in enough money in the system to draw a nice disability check. So she has a car note, car insurance. You got to put gas in the car. Stay woke. You got to buy toiletries, deodorant, things like that. How was she affording all that and also paying her father $400 rent? You got to pay a light bill at the townhouse. Probably have to pay for water. Come on with it, Queen, because somebody ain't paying attention. She already talked about she's broke. Stefan was broke. But yet he's buying all these little figurines and painting them and doing that shit, ordering packages, sending them to her house, his parents' house. Where was his money coming from? Was he selling and swapping pictures of some sort and getting some type of payment? Was he uploading content of the little girl to the dark web and got payment? Because he has to have money from somewhere. Then he also has to put gas in his car to drive up and down the highway. We also learned that his parents paid for things and they were burnt out. But they built this Build-A-Bear, this monster, did they not? Now, did they know he was a sadist? I don't know. Let's talk about the father's interview. Some people will say he was baiting the detective. Some will say, well, that's just the nature of him. When he once was a cop, and all his questions he was asking. Basically, he talks about he messed himself up by leaving all this data on his phone. So he really wasn't that smart. But then, of course, cleaned it up. He wasn't smart. So was Chris Stearns, baiting the detective? Was he trying to see what they had on Jen? Some might say he was wrong, throwing Jen under the bus as the killer. Don't know what Stefan has told his parents through letters, emails, whatever. But that's it. That's their child. So they're going to aid their child, even if they realize he's a monster, even if they knew he was a monster beforehand. That's their son. It's expected that people aid their children. That's what got them in this mess in the first place. That's why we're here talking about Stefan Stearns, because he was coddled from birth. And they didn't make him stand account and stand a tone for his ways and being an adult and going out here in the world. And the fact that a father is sitting here trying to guide a 40-year-old man to choose a career, that should tell you what his life has been like living in his parents' home. They have coddled him. Cuddled him, literally. They Build-A-Bear, who is now a monster. It's what you allow. It's common sense. The comment about Jen having something on her phone that she showed him inappropriate. Now, why would she do that? But police tell him there's nothing on her devices. We checked everything. There's nothing nefarious on her phone pertaining to Madelaine Soto. So did he make that up? Because he was trying to spin the narrative. But what he has to know, if you're a cop, you know you can't make it be something that it's not, because they've done their homework with devices, hard drives. And if there's nothing there, there's nothing there. But it doesn't mean she didn't know about the abuse. So that's what people need to always understand about a crime. You got to prove she killed the kid. You got to prove she knew about the abuse. We know she aided it. That's proven. That's out her own mouth. But did she participate in any way sexually with her child and or kill the kid? You got to prove it. So far, they have nothing to prove she murdered a child or did anything nefarious with video, film, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't mean she didn't know he was having relations with her child. abusing her kid. Of course she knew. Because the day you send your child in a room with a grown person, you cannot assume nothing's going on because you trust that person. It's not logical to be sending a child into a room with an adult man in the first damn place when she has her own room. So now we got to ask that question. Did the child want to sleep with her mother? Because we're only getting the version from Jen Soto. Hello, Scott. The father is just a crappy father, as one content creator said. Don't prove that he knew anything about what Stephen Stearns did or was doing. Or does he know? Have there been allegations before of him being a creepy crawler and they just pushed it under the rug with the rest of his asinine juvenile behavior? What are their conversations like? Stearns with their son now. What has the son revealed to his lawyer and his parents? Will he give up Jennifer Soto as a co-conspirator in the abuse and also the murder of Madelaine Soto? It's all a hot butter mess. And the one thing you have to understand about true crime is the obvious. People don't tell everyone the same version of events. Jen has probably told different versions to this one, and this one versus what she told the police. Same thing with the Stearns. They've told different versions to detectives versus what they told their friends, their family. Same thing with Stephen Stearns. He told this, and this. They all got different versions. Because nobody tells the same version the same way to different people. Rarely does that happen. And as I said before, if you lie about one thing, you'll lie about another. The girlfriend. Lying flat. Sexual purposes. Him confiding in her about cuddling a child. She needs it. That sounds like something Jen would say. She needs it. No, you need it. Allegedly, she don't want people talking about her here on social media. Putting her name out there. It is what it is. Because once somebody gets a hold of your name, ma'am, they're going to put it out. It's not saying that it's right. And people making stupid comments about she wasn't a mandated reporter. You should report a crime pertaining to a child no matter who you are. Teacher, social worker. Why do you have to be a social worker or a teacher to report a crime? I saw that in somebody's chat the other day. She wasn't a mandated reporter. Who gives a fuck? A grown man is telling you he's sleeping with a kid that needs to sleep with her because she needs him there to go to sleep. And you think that's okay. And you don't think to call the police. You don't think to get the person's government name, the mother's name, to get an address where she lives to say, hey, there's something going on with this guy I met. He's said and doing some creepy things with me sexually and also talking about a girl child. I think there's something going on. Some essay, please check it out. I fear for the safety of this child. This child was failed miserably by everyone. So if you got roommates seeing a man going in and out of a room with a kid, and maybe you don't see touching this and that, but you've got it in the back of your head, you've gone and explained it to other people, talked about it to other people, you're calling sisters, brothers, cousins, then you should have known more than likely your spirit led you right, because it was. So it wasn't a lie. So you didn't need to see them having sex with each other. You didn't need to see her going in a room every day. Your spirit told you it was going on, and it was. Checkmate. Same thing with the girlfriend. You should have reported it. So the child was failed miserably. Counselor, she's telling you she don't feel comfortable around the stepfather, and you don't think to inquire, to ask, why don't you feel comfortable? You're just going to let her say, oh, he acts weird, act peculiar, and you don't say, well, what do you mean? Tell me, explain. Let's talk about it. What is he doing that makes you call him this, and this? That's your job. See, this is why I hate these type of stories, because I don't understand the purpose of us hearing this information after the fact. It's pointless. Because really, people will say, well, this is what I want to hear. I want to hear it, Queen. I want to hear it. I want to hear what the girlfriend said. I want to hear what the mother said. I want to hear what the grandmama said. I want to hear it. For what? Because people are not going to tell you the whole truth. What is it that you don't understand about that? Nobody's getting ready to tell you they thought this man was essaying a kid. Because in order for me to tell you that in the present tense, that means I didn't do due diligence in the past tense. Checkmate. And now I'm telling on myself that I watched behavior that was inappropriate and I did nothing. So I'm not going to tell you in 2024, September, yeah, I thought something was going on hanky-panky, but I didn't do anything. I tried talking to the mother. I ain't got to talk to her. I'm going to call 9 damn 1 and a 1. See, when I got through talking to Jen Soto, she would have felt like an aunt. And I'd have cussed her ass out and told her, you know your child ain't got no business going in that room with that man alone like that. What is he doing up in another room anyway? What kind of hanky-panky shit y'all got going on? He your boyfriend. He ain't your boyfriend. Now he up here renting room number 4. Your daughter going in the room playing with him with the door half cracked. This is ridiculous. As mama and daddies used to say when we were children, leave this door open. You shut no doors up in my house. Damn right. Leave the door open. So a lot of black parents are totally different than, back in the day than what we got going on now is people parenting. Back in the day, you didn't leave no damn doors closed. For what? What you doing in there? Want to see what you doing. Even by yourself. Let me see. And there's nothing wrong, of course, with a child closing his or her door as they get older, but not younger. I feel sorry for this child who is no longer with us. She didn't have a life. She had a mother who didn't have no money, a mother fooling with a man who didn't have no money. Obviously, she didn't pay to take the child out to events. She didn't want the girl spending the night. She didn't have other children coming over. But then that would be a problem now because look who was in the house with her. He would have been touching other little girls. Checkmate. Of course he would have. More candy in the candy jar. He definitely would have been beside himself had there been more children running in and out of Jen Soto's house. So that's probably a good thing. And that might be also the reason why Jen Soto didn't allow other children over. Checkmate. Woo! You didn't smell that coming, did you? Say it again, Queen, because somebody's asleep in the back. Jen knew all along. That's why no other children were coming over. Ding, ding, ding. Can't let our little secret get out. Is that the truth, Jen, or that's just Queen speculating? You know what he was doing, and you knew you couldn't let no other children come over because he wouldn't be able to contain himself. Other pretty little girls spending the night hovering under covers, and then people would say, well, hell, where were they all going to sleep? In Jen's bed? My. Oh, let her go to other people's house. I know what happens. You know what's happening because it was going on in your house. That's why you didn't want to go nowhere else. She's already getting abused at your house. How kind of you. So you had a special person you wanted to abuse your child. Is that what you're saying? Help me out. Now, I don't want anybody abusing my kid. But I don't want my child going over here to this girl's house because I already got an abuser over here. This one abuser is good enough. Yeah, I'm saying that. Exactly, Beth. She didn't stand a chance. Because that's what's going to be jacked up. She knew all along the girl was being touched. And that's why she didn't send her nowhere else. I don't want nobody else doing it to her because I already got somebody doing it to her, right? Hey, slippery slope. Stay woke. This is a diabolical case, and there are more cases like this. And we've seen the stories of children being abused. We hear it all the time that children are abused by others, family members, all the time. Why? I don't know. Usually they were abused as children. Most abusers were abused. But that's the point. When you become an adult, people don't care about what happened to you. They want you to act accordingly. They want you to act like an adult, behave like an adult. But it doesn't work that way because many of us are still traumatized. We're not settling our baggage issues. We are not getting mental help. We're not taking meds. We're not getting counseling. So we're taking that baggage and carrying it out to the universe and doing it to other people. Lying, cheating, stealing, manipulating, grooming, cursing, abusive, whatever the problems are. We don't get help. That's why most of us are fucked up as it is. Because we're not addressing old baggage. Stephen Stearns is no different. Jen Soto is no different. And what you always have to remember, had this child lived, she possibly would have went out into the universe and got herself wrapped up in a lot of mischief because she's already been touched by an adult man. And we have learned that children who are molested, they grow up doing other stuff they ain't got no business. Young girls become promiscuous. So I won't doubt she would have started probably doing stuff, having relations with boys. Of course. Par for the course. Because the gate has been opened. And that's what these abusers don't think about. Let's talk about his commentary. I didn't start this. Well, that's typical essay talk. I didn't start this. So what did he mean by that? Jen started it. She knew about it. Party to it. Or the little girl came on to him. Either way, it's common sense. The child was a victim. Nobody's going to sit here and believe a 7 or 8-year-old did something to you to make you decide to reciprocate. And even if the child did touch you inappropriately, you were supposed to go to the mother and say, well, hey, I'm noticing something with your child, blah, 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 and let the mother handle it. And after that, let's just say something was said or done by the little girl, provocative, which I'm not about to sit here and think that happened. So don't get me wrong. But just saying, let's, role play. What man would be comfortable being around a child after that? You wouldn't, because you wouldn't want to be in a situation of somebody thinking you've done something to a girl or child. But this is typical essay talk. Oh, she looked at me a certain way. He looked at me a certain way. Oh, she touched me inappropriately. And I just went on. I know it was wrong, but I remember years ago watching Oprah Winfrey. She interviewed essayers on her panel. And one of the essayers said that a little girl was enticing him by swinging on a swing and her dress flapping up, flapping down, flapping up, flapping down. Now, common sense would tell anybody sane she's just a child on a swing, minding her business. She doesn't know this man from a can of paint, and she ain't paying attention to him because she doesn't know him. But in his sick mind, she's seducing him. So see, this goes to show how delusional these creatures are in believing the child wanted it. They provoked me. They seduced me. They touched me. I reciprocated. That's a delusion. It's 9 times out of 10, no child has seduced an adult to engage in abuse. But that is their sick ideology. She's swinging on a swing and her dress is going up. She's enticing me deliberately. I remember when I heard that, I was floored. What the hell is he talking about? First of all, you're over there watching her swing on a swing for a reason. See, start at the beginning. You went to the playground to watch, to possibly get a chance to be near a child, to do something to a child. So it wouldn't have mattered if she was swinging on a swing or not. She could have been sliding down the sliding board, running around the playground. You were there for your own sick gratification. That's the point. But that's the slick talk you get from a sadist. Oh, they seduced me. The dress going up. Oh, they looked at me a certain way. She's not really a child. You know, all this type of crazy, foolish, outrageous talk about a child. No child wants to be abused. No child is attracted to you. I don't care if she's 8, if she's 6, if she's a toddler, if she's 13. She don't want you. That's your sick mind telling you that to excuse the behavior of why you're attracted to a child. And that's what they do. So you have him saying this, Stephen Stearns. I didn't start it. So what are we supposed to believe? A 7-year-old came on to you. 7-year-old made a pass at you. 8-year-old made a pass at you. And what's even scarier to me is what he was doing to her all those years. And what age did he start penetrating the child? Because it's not to be graphic, but I'm wondering. Because there are men who would risk penetrating a small child knowing the mother, father, whomever is going to see signs that something's wrong with their private parts and not care. And knowing that the child is in their care and look at them and say, you haven't been doing something because you're the only one around. So what age did he start actually having sex with the child? I'm curious. Because we hear it's a 2-year time frame of the actual video and pics, I guess, of the penetration. So we can use at least the age of 11, he was penetrating the child. It's all disturbing information. And it's hard to digest because he was walking around perpetrating himself as a regular civilian. The mother, that's a whole nother story. She's living in La La Land in this white box. And I do believe she knew. She allowed it. So I don't need proof of Jen Soto telling him verbatim by a text, a letter. When she admitted she sent her child to sleep in a room with a grown man at 13, that told me she knew he was abusing her. Because he didn't ever have to tell her, I'm attracted to your daughter. I'm having sex with your daughter. Why is he going to tell her that? Now, we don't know what they talked about. And that type of conversation, you're not going to put in a text anyway. But the texters let it be known. They've got text messages between she and he and possibly other people. So when she said, I can't risk it, Maddie's sleeping in the bed with her, that makes me know that was confirmed. She knew what was going on with her daughter. Daughter probably finally said something, June of 23. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of this. Why are you letting them sleep in the bed with us? Why are you allowing this to happen? And imagine a child saying it to her own mother. Why are you doing this to me? You know what he's doing to me. Stop it. Make it stop. Make it go away. But the mother is like, oh, it's no big deal. He's just sexually frustrated. It'll be okay. Is he hurting you? Can you imagine saying it to your child? You know this man is essaying your child. Can you imagine saying it to your child? I hope it doesn't hurt. I hope he's not hurting you. What the hell? Yes, he's hurting me. He has no business touching me. And you're allowing it. And imagine knowing your mother is allowing somebody to essay you. Sexual assault is horrible. I won't doubt there probably was a discussion between all of them. Why not? You were open, doors cracked open, partitions, rule number 4. Why not? Roommates don't have no idea what's going on per se, but it's being done right there while you're walking and coming and going in and out, shutting, closing doors, sleeping, taking showers. He's messing with this kid from one room to the other. So we already know she's being assaulted in 3 different rooms. They may have been. I'm not telling the truth. I think a lot of people had an idea. I think Jen knew for sure, and the other roommates suspected. Let's say that. Roommates suspected, but Jennifer knew. And you do have creepy, crawling mothers who do know their children are having sex with their partners. They willingly know. Just you can't accept the fact a parent would willingly sacrifice their child to their lover, husband, because you didn't come from that background. You're not around people that do that to your knowledge. But you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And we see these horrible stories of children being abused every day, mentally, physically, sexually. So you can't be shocked if this was a normal thing, which I believe it was, and there was conversation about it. Because she sent the text to him just a year ago. I cannot risk it. She may have been saying, I can't risk you. But instead she says, my bad. Because she don't want to put his name in the text in case it ever gets read, which it did. So there you have it. She knew what was going on between Stephen Stearns and her daughter. So that's the proof. That's why they were telling her in her interviews from months ago, be careful what you say, because we have your text messages. So whatever partial immunity they gave her, she still has lied in these recent interviews about the abuse of her child. So as I have said before in my commentary, if you will lie about one thing, you will lie about another. Hello, Peter. You will lie. If you'll lie about SA, you'll lie about a murder. What's the difference? There is no difference. She has also said out of her own mouth, that's not evil, the SA. So then why would I sit here and think you couldn't have killed your kid? And some people believe she is the murderer, not Stephen Stearns. See, you don't really know what they were discussing. But her text messages prove they are willingly talking about the SA in a conversation. So at the age of 12, it is being discussed by the two parties. So if you can talk about the SA, you can also, after the fact, kill her and also say the SA was no big deal. How is it different? Because you cannot have one without the other. And I talk about this all the time on this network. How far are you willing to go to cover the lie? This is where murder comes in. Many people are murdered to cover the lies. So I don't want anybody knowing I'm a party to this. I don't want anybody knowing I covered up the SA. I allowed the SA. So hell yeah, I'm going to cover up the death. But as I said, if I cover up the death, what's the difference between me also being the murderer? There is no difference. It's what the state can prove. So far, they can't prove she's a part of the filth on the phones and the murder of Madelaine Soto. But they know they've got enough that she knew the child was molested because it's out of her own mouth. Her actions towards Stephen, the we took her to school, what she had on. I also meant to say that about the Sebastian case earlier. How do you know what he had on if you didn't see him that morning? So you're only telling us what he had on the night before. Well, we don't know that's true either. See, that's what people need to understand about true crime. True crime is just a version. This is my version. It doesn't mean it is the truth. Did Jen Soto murder her daughter? Did she help Stephen Stearns murder her daughter? Did she order him to kill her child? So you don't even know if the child was dead on the 26th, died on the 26th. For all we know, she died right after her birthday party. Because I won't doubt she probably did. Now we hear that the mother came home an hour later than what she told authorities. So see, those are more lies. First it was 10:30. Now the roommate says it's 11:30. And I think even one of the roommates, she mixes up her times too. 1 minute something's 2:30, then I'm leaving at 3:30, 3:40. What's the truth? That's why one of the detectives was asking one of the roommates, are you sure about the time that you said you went to work? Because that means she said she didn't went to work at a different time. Nobody is calculating the time properly. So what you have to ask yourself, are you miscalculating because you just can't remember, or you're lying? Or you're lying. And yes, could be that. He murdered her. He told Jen, and Jen helped him lie to say, we carried her to school. But you're now putting yourself with the killer. And why would I do that? I can't love you that much. I'm going to lie for you and you killed my kid. But what did I just tell you? If you're a lie for a murderer, it's no different than when you were lying when he was molesting your child. What's the difference? There is no difference, in my opinion. That's why I always talk about how far will you go to cover the lies. If you lie for the molester, you allow the child molestation, you're no different than when the person killed the child. You are evenly yoked. Because you're the catalyst of what got us to the point to have a dead child in the first place. And if you lie about the molestation, you continue to let him molest the child, continue to let the child sleep with him, he kills her, you cover it up. How are you different than actually killing her? You're not. You're not. And the only thing Stephen Stern can do at this point is throw her under the bus to preserve his own life. Whether Jen killed the child or not, Stephen Stern knows he's not coming out of prison. He will have 2 cases before him to go to court. Each case has the death penalty as a factor. He has no choice but to sell Jen Soto as a co-conspirator to the abuse and to the murder as to try to preserve his life. Rather, she knows of the murder, covered up the murder, murdered the child, ordered the hit. It doesn't matter. He's got to preserve his life. Exactly, Beth. He has nothing to lose. He has to say Jen knew everything. He has to say she helped me kill her. She helped me plan it. He has to do that. Whether it's true or not, he has to do that in order to preserve his life. And every day he sits in that jail, he knows he's cooked. He's fried. He now knows what they're doing on YouTube. We're going to talk about that, and I'm checking out of here, and I'm just done with this discussion. There's a price to pay sitting up here, talking about true crime, talking about opinion. It's out there. Can you take it back? Of course, but it's still out there. When you spread lies and rumors, it's out there. When you have not fact-checked, it's out there. You have not verified the information, it's out there. You're stalking, harassing people, putting out their phone numbers, addresses, telling things about their personal business, it's out there. You can't take it back. There are ramifications. We now have a debacle of YouTubers bickering about who put the information out pertaining to these documents. My thing is, it was private in the first damn place. The clerk's office probably shouldn't be selling this information because as people love to judge anybody that talks about true crime with children, you're making money off of the crime by talking about it on your network. YouTube makes money off of me. How about that? YouTube makes money off of us no matter what we're talking about. So the clerk's office is separate than YouTube. Why is the clerk selling random strangers information pertaining to true crime? That's what you should be asking. Because you can't have one without the other. Why would the clerk want to sell crime scene photos? Do they ask the people, what are you going to do with these photos? Hey, what are you going to do with this audio? Oh, I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel. Hey, I'm going to play this for Facebook, TikTok. Who's going to tell that? Nobody. But it doesn't even matter, does it? You're selling it. So that's the question. Is it right to sell the information? Because nobody has to tell the clerk, I'm a YouTuber. I'm working for CNN. I'm working for ABC News. Nobody has to tell that. But maybe the clerk shouldn't be selling this information, because now we got these people up here on YouTube bickering about who put it out. And now we got one group saying, well, I bought it and we went in half on it, woo, woo, woo. And this other YouTuber, she's got all these followers and people. She's putting the content out there and she's telling people, oh, I bought it. I got a researcher, blah, blah, blah. And this guy said, no, you got it from me. This is bad. This is bad. I don't know. Very good question. Beth asks, does she have insurance on the child? See, there's 1,000 questions you can ask. We also discussed, was the girl pregnant? Was that the motive? Did he want to take it a step further sexually? We hear that there's this high that you can get from being choked to death, but then that means you have to say that the little girl is liking the sex to want to be choked to death, which I'm not about to promote that, but just saying. The deviant has to take it a step further, and I discussed that in the case of Mr. Finnegan and the Paxton case. How much can you do to get off sexually? Torture, binding, gagging, that ain't enough. Cutting her, that ain't enough. Choking her, that ain't enough. Having sex with a corpse, that ain't enough. Put her in the freezer, cut through the ice to cut her nose and breasts off, that ain't enough. Do you see where I'm going? It ain't enough. So this crime with Stephen Stearns is possibly no different than what happened with Jennifer Paxton in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Everything he was doing with a little girl wasn't enough. He had to take it a step farther. That's why she's dead, perhaps. I don't know. I'm not in Stephen Stearns' head. I don't know the motive. I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility. But as I said, as of late, these people are bickering about the content they've put out with the videos and the audios pertaining to this case. And I knew there were going to be ramifications. I said it to myself a week ago when I started seeing the videos pop up on these networks. I said, there is getting ready to be some shit behind you playing that stuff on your network. Other people will play it, try to edit out them talking. I knew there was going to be a problem. And I knew this case was going to get out of control just because of the content. It's nasty. And one thing I have seen, we're talking about children and murder, essay, nothing good comes from it. And why would it? The child is dead. So just like with Sebastian Rogers' case, you got people suing each other, can't talk about it on their network. That's what comes from talking about people. You're giving your opinion. You're saying things about them. Maybe that's not true. Lies, threats, whatever. Now you're being sued. Now you got to spend more money to defend yourself against your own fucking commentary. Now we got people arguing over fucking audio videos of people talking about Madelaine Soto. Stephen Stearns is locked up, and he's already got wind of these videos. This is why I keep trying to tell people, you think because somebody's locked up, they don't know what's going on out here? Of course they know. People talk. People in the jail are talking. The guards are talking. Hey, they're talking about you on YouTube. Hey, they got stuff out about you. Hey, they know what you did with the little girl. Hey, they got the pictures and the videos out. Hey, your girlfriend's talked to the news. Hey, this is what your girlfriend said in the interview. Somebody paid for the information. He now knows everything. So now you got people bickering and arguing, and now there's one YouTuber, he has a privacy violation issue, warning, or whatever. Don't know what's going to happen with his network. If he's going to take the videos down, leave them up. But what you don't want is a strike. You can get a warning. But after that, you'll get a strike. And then the rest follow suit with monetization being removed, blah, blah, blah. It ain't what you want. And once again, you can say, oh, it's free speech, blah, blah, blah. But what you have to ask yourself, is it ethical to put this content up by you paying for it and not it coming out legally through the news and the district attorney's office? Is this ethical? Buying audio, interviews, pictures, crime scene photos, and releasing it before the district attorney decides to release it. Take the polls on my community page. I have asked this question about the DA, how they feel about all this information getting out, because naturally 12 members of a jury has to be chosen. People will already know things that probably weren't ready to be released. They're out now. And I'm sure the DA is not happy. The Sterns are probably not happy. Stephen Stern isn't happy. Definitely Jen Soto isn't happy. That ex-girlfriend of Stephen Stern isn't happy. These roommates are probably not happy because now people know things about them that nobody knew. It was going to come out eventually. But do you agree with the way it's come out by people purchasing it and putting it on YouTube? That's the question. Thank you for joining me. God bless all of you. Have a wonderful week. I will be posting a movie of the week. Please check out my post on decluttering. I'm sharing other people's content. This is the season once again to start getting ready for the holidays. Time to clean your house, throw out your clutter, your junk, your garage, your shed. Clear that stuff out. You don't need it. Sell it on Facebook Marketplace. Other than that, throw it to the dump or donate it. Less is more. Thank you all so much for following this network. If you'd like to donate to this network, $McAngie129 Cash App. I will be bringing you more content this week. Yes, Mr. Tito Jackson has passed away at the age of 70. He was traveling from New Mexico to Oklahoma where he crashed, I guess, had a car wreck and died. They believe he had a heart attack. Prayers to the Jackson family. And yes, I just learned that Mr. P. Diddy has been arrested. Just got the notification on my computer while I'm talking. I will discuss that possibly tomorrow. We'll chop up P. Diddy. But as for this other true crime nonsense, Queen has bowed out. I've had enough. Thank you for your time and following this network. Welcome all new subscribers, visitors. Thank you for your time. Prayers for justice for Madelaine Soto, that the truth will be revealed. And I also believe Jen Soto needs to be arrested for child endangerment. That's my personal opinion. She needs to be arrested because she knew all along her child was being essayed, and nobody can make me think at this point that she did not know. She knew. And everything has come out of her own mouth and her own text messages to allude that she had knowledge. And that's that. District attorney don't want to do anything about it. You got to sleep with that. I don't. But the child was miserably failed. Miserably failed. Thank you for your time. You have been listening to the Vault XL.